Thank you for being here today. You're watching Luminary Leaders Live, and my name is Shelly Harrison. I'm your host. My company is Luminary Leaders, and we work with speakers, CEOs, and thought leaders to leverage speaking for their company. And I want to bring on a guest today that I know that you are going to be so interested in this topic because it's edgy and it's kind of cool, and we're going to get right into it. And you see my guest here next to me. I want to welcome Juliana Whitney, and she is actually co-founder of Leafsheets and also the president of Cann Strategy. And you'll see the streaming across the bottom there. Grab a screenshot so that you have access to go find her on her websites. So Juliana, I want to welcome you to Luminary Leaders Live.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here too. And I have to say, number one, happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's your birthday. So how exciting is that?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we get to do this interview on your birthday.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Perfect thing to do.
Yeah. And what I would love for you to do, Juliana, before we kind of get into this is, let our audience know kind of who you are, what gets you so super excited about the work that you're doing.
Okay. Who I am. What an existential question.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of what every interview starts with, right? Oh, tell us about yourself. But I want us to know what excites you about what you do too.
Okay. So, I'm an entrepreneurial spirit. I always have been my entire life that I have memory of. And
I
have memory of. And was always searching for what I wanted to do with that entrepreneurship. I never could figure out exactly what my vision was. And that was probably one of my most frustrating things for me was like, I have all this passion and I don't know where to use it. So that was stressful, And I was getting my master's in business, got into the cannabis industry at that same time. And what excited me about it most is that it's brand new. As much as some people feel like it's been around for a while, it really is still so new, and people are figuring out what best practices are. They're figuring out the customer. They're navigating regulations. The state, even the states, it's brand new for them. Each time a new state regulates all their, authorities, it's brand new territory for them, brand new territory for the businesses, for the customers. And because I love startups, I love that. I love that. There's so many problems to be solved.
Oh my gosh, I know, especially with a startup, because you're starting literally from the ground up, and the business that you're in, it could be a little challenging because of a lot of, like you said, regulations, the laws, so many, fill in the blank. There's a lot to, a lot to uncover there. When, you love entrepreneurship, and how long have you actually been in business? And you've got two companies. So you've got Cann Strategy and then you have Leafsheets. So tell us about the difference between those two, or do they go hand in hand?
Okay. I've been in business since 2016 and primarily with Cann Strategy. It used to be named something different, but now it's Cann Strategy. They are similar, but they are different in a key way. Cann Strategy, we work with investors and operators, either investors who want to get into the industry or operators who want to expand and grow in the industry. And we help them to do the licensing applications in competitive markets, to set up operations, to expand to other states, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then Leafsheets kind of sprouted out of that because I had so many entrepreneurs who maybe didn't have money to pay a consultant and a bunch of fancy lawyers and everyone else you need to get the job done, but they were so passionate. And I thought, okay, is there something we can build that gives them a chance at the same thing without them having to try to figure it out all alone? And that's why we built Leafsheets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, and I'm seeing, to me, I think that, this industry, it's a multi-million-dollar business. And in California, they've legalized it. I'm in California, and I know you are coming to us from Las Vegas.
Yes.
And tell us about Las Vegas and how does that kind of benefit your business being in Las Vegas?
Oh, Vegas. Our primary
All the
way.
shiny lights
Yeah.
and the
It's
slot
all
machines and all that
razzle
stuff.
dazzle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Primary way it benefited me was Nevada at the time that we began medical was in 2015.
Hmm.
And Nevada did their regulations. They were going for the gold standard of regulations and really tried to be very regimented and pretty strict, detailed. And because of that, learning within that environment, that's allowed me to expand what Cann strategy does and then even Leafsheets into
Hmm.
really any other state, because
Oh.
learning under that structure of regulation, then other
Hmm.
states look very similar and they'll change a few things, but it's easy for me to apply what I know here and just
Yeah.
adapt to each new state. I was grateful for that. And then also because it's Vegas and everything is big and bright,
Oh,
all of
yeah.
yeah, all of the locations here really went over the top, like with
Oh,
decorating and with their, it's just all a spectacle. And
yeah.
that's been kind of cool in helping customers design their stores in other states to say, like, what if we can make it really beautiful? What if we can make it a great experience
Yeah.
for the customer, like bigger than they would think of it otherwise?
Yeah, and it's kind of like the party capital of the world. When you think of Vegas, you think, oh my gosh, it's 24/7. You're partying and having fun, and so it's a good place to for businesses that can cater to those people that are visiting, tourists, and all over the world, really. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So for you, when you think of your company and where you are right now, what just blows you away about what you've done that just excites you so much about this industry?
I'm blown away that I now get to do things like this and talk to people about it, and that I'm working in, places like New York City and am
Wow.
speaking on the news there, and I'm starting to get asked to speak on stages. And
Good for
that,
you.
I think of when I first started, I just think like, oh, she'd be so proud because this is exactly what
Mm.
we're part of the journey that I wanted, to get
Yeah.
to this place. So that's exciting. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited and also proud of myself that we finally built Leafsheets, because I had that idea at the same time I began, but I didn't know how to
Mhm.
build it. So I'm
Oh,
glad I found a business partner who helped me do that, and we're moving forward. And I'm glad that I've stayed optimistic, because this industry is hard and it can get to you, and it gets to some people and they can become jaded or just leave and be like, I'm
yeah,
over it.
yeah,
So
because
I'm
there is a
glad,
lot of
yeah,
stuff that you have to go through really for any business, but I think even more for a cannabis business, because there's a lot of regulations and there's stigma around it, to some lawmakers, and you kind of think, gosh, there's so much support that's needed out there, for these people that have a vision and they want to create a business.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of maybe one story that you just think, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud, and this was something that you could never imagine that you could accomplish with a client?"
That I can,
There's probably
well,
more than one.
yeah.
A lot more
Um,
than one.
um, I can't say I could never imagine it, because I tend to imagine pretty big things.
Oh, good.
Something that I was really like, oh my gosh, we pulled it off. Like I wanted to accomplish it, but it was so kind of a far reach that I was stoked.
Yeah.
Was uh, in Nevada, actually, in 2018. They did the
Mhm.
second round of licensing, and we took on a few clients and helped them with licensing. And the way Nevada works is it's limited licensing, so there's only so many available,
Yeah.
and you're competing against hundreds of other people. And they're very valuable licenses. I mean, all the biggest companies in the industry want to be here.
Yeah.
So I knew that's what we were up against. We were working with a client that had some local clout outside of the cannabis industry, but
Mhm.
didn't have they weren't a giant cannabis company. So we were kind of working with the, startup. They've got funding, but they're not the big dog, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to try to win these licenses and we'll see what happens. But we're up against the biggest of the biggest in the industry. And we won them 3 licenses in the
Oh,
3 most desirable
oh my
jurisdictions in the whole
gosh.
state. And
Congratulations on that. Yeah, and that I mean, that was just 2 years into business.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was that.
Yeah, because you started in 2016, so 2018.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that. I felt like I'd been in it forever at that point. But yeah, it was just 2 years in, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
when you take on a client,
Yeah.
think of, how they find you, and what is it that, as soon as you know that you have a potential client that could turn into, a great business or whatnot, how do you approach that?
Once they find me, which is usually through referrals or through LinkedIn and sometimes through the website currently. Now we just got
Yeah.
PR, so now more people are finding us just like in the news. But before, that's what it mostly was.
Yeah.
Um, I like to usually assess if I'm pretty intentional about the companies that I want to help build. I
Hmm.
don't just want to help build any company that can pay me to help them.
Yeah.
So I like to assess that. And then, so there's usually a few phone calls before we will actually sign any kind of agreement because I
Hmm.
like to both assess if we can work together, if I think they'll be able to handle it, should they actually get a business.
Yeah.
Everyone's very excited about it, but it's okay, but will you be okay if it actually works out and you actually have to do this?
Right. Or do they have those management skills? Do they have the systems? Do they have the patience?
Exactly. So I
Right?
have to figure
All
that
of those
out.
things.
All those things. And then I really try to I like to build long-term relationships with my clients. I really, a lot of consultants and service providers say this. They say, like, my client's success is my success. I
Mhm.
really feel that way, and we really act that way. Like the amount of sleep I have lost in order to get things done.
Oh,
So they
I'm
have,
right there with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to make sure that the clients we have, I would feel good putting in that kind of work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my primary trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, you have to turn some people away because you just don't see it.
Yeah,
And that would be difficult. How do you handle that if you know that, maybe you're not the right fit or they're not the right fit for your model and vice versa. They're just not ready.
I do have to say I have taken a couple clients that I shouldn't have, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
what taught me how to decipher who I probably shouldn't work with.
Mm,
Usually, I like to have a referral for them to say, I don't know that we're the best fit for you and what you're trying to do,
mhm.
but here's some other people that might be able to help you.
That's a great idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you wanna be gracious, but you also wanna be, pretty firm on who you work with, and I think by doing that, that really kind of sets that foundation to where maybe when they do become, where they're gonna need your services, they're gonna be in a better position to be able to work with you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when you think about it, Juliana, you here you are, you're young, you've got this great company going. Where do you see yourself going with this company? Well, really with both companies over, let's say, the next 5 years.
Leafsheets, we're going to build into the go-to business support platform for the industry, both for newcomers and for operators. That's our
Mm,
goal with that. It
yeah.
is what it is right now to get people in the industry. We have other features we're building out that will support actual operators and simplify the business for them. And
Mhm.
within 5 years, we would love to sell it That would be
Oh,
there. I would,
yeah.
yeah, build it up really strong and sell it most likely. With Cann strategy, there's two ways it could go. One, I want to build it into a larger firm that has a presence and that is large enough to do management and operations of
Mm,
dispensaries specifically across the United States,
mhm.
or to own a chain of dispensaries across the United States. That
Yeah.
would be, it could go either way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the cannabis type of businesses. So, and we were talking about this backstage, is it dispensaries? Is it the farms? Is it the product, the end product that's available at the dispensaries? Give us an idea of where that sweet spot is with you.
With me, so we work with all three. We work with cultivation, production, and dispensary. My favorite is dispensaries. And then with cultivation and production, mainly doing recruiting for them, helping with brand development and kind of growth strategy, but
Yeah,
not as much on the operational side, except for doing compliance audits and walkthroughs.
yeah.
We don't do as much of the operational setup for
Mhm.
those two business types. Whereas with dispensaries, we do soup to nuts, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would imagine like even the marketing, when you think of cannabis, it doesn't really need to be marketed, because there are people that just like the alcohol industry or the
Yeah.
tobacco industry, there are people that know about it and they purchase it and they use it. And I would think that marketing, is it a different way that you do this with your clients? I mean, as far as marketing?
Market, well, yes,
Yeah.
because we have really restrictive marketing regulations and they're different in every state,
Mm.
which means you have to adjust the marketing and advertising plan for each state
Yeah.
because some won't allow certain colors, certain fonts, certain images, which means you can't use one ad you have from this state in this other state, and
Oh,
which makes it more difficult. Also,
it
placement
would, yeah.
of marketing changes for each state. So some
Mhm.
states you can have billboards, others you can't. Some you can, it differs. So that makes it really tricky. And then,
I would imagine.
yeah, one thing people do think is that it doesn't need to be marketed, but it actually really does because
Oh,
because
yeah. Oh,
much, yeah, so
yeah,
people want the product. That's one great thing. You don't have to convince people to want the product. You
yeah.
do have to convince them to want your product. And
Right,
that's,
and that's a good point.
yeah,
That's true because it's pricing, it's the service, it's how it's packaged and
yeah,
all of those
the
things.
brand, them
Right.
feeling like they understand what they're getting. And because
Yeah.
it's a new industry, that is not established. So, with
Mm.
a lot of alcohol brands, they've been around for so long. People know them. Jim Beam, Don Julio, like they've been around for a long time.
Right, and those are
Tobacco,
brands we all know.
Marlboro. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
where
Marlboro, the Marlboro Man, I mean, we can
exactly.
yeah,
They're
exactly.
established.
Yeah.
Cannabis does not have that luxury. It is every brand, even the large ones, are working day in and day out to create that kind of recognition with consumers and
Yeah,
recognizability. And because of that, marketing is a big deal because it's like, how do you create that and how do you keep
right.
that? It's a whole endeavor that where
Yeah.
everyone is seeking to do.
Oh my gosh. It's funny. I actually live in the Southern California area. And just recently in our area, Cheech and Chong, right? And I mean, they're notorious for, with,
Yeah.
with their movies. But Cheech Marin opened up a museum here of Chicano art in our city. And I thought, wow, that is really cool. Because my vision of him is, smoking a doobie and,
Right.
just, I mean, so, and he is an astute businessman, when you think about it. So it's kind of interesting when, the perceptions that we have, don't you think?
I do think that, yes,
Yeah.
because one, actually, a lot of people in cannabis are very geared toward social justice or culture, things like
Yeah.
that. So it's not surprising that he did that. And then two are people from all walks of life. There's doctors, there's lawyers, there's high-end business people, there's billionaires, there's,
Oh, yeah.
school teachers. It's just everybody. But I think because of the way it's been portrayed in the media, your image of it is this kind of like stonery person,
Yes, but it is a real business. I mean, I was telling you earlier, I interviewed this gentleman, a very sophisticated gentleman. I mean, he was an attorney, and
Yeah.
then now he has this farm, I believe it's in Oklahoma. And it was just amazing and fascinating how he talked about the process and how important it is and how efficient they have to be, just to make sure that when it goes out to the market, about the seeds and all of that stuff. I mean, I don't remember exactly, but it was just fascinating to hear how he started his business, and now I think he has 2 farms now. So, it's definitely something that is, people are committed and they're passionate about their cannabis business. And if you were to tell someone, maybe someone that's on the fence of, I'm not sure if I want to start a business, or, maybe they're thinking about it, and what advice would you give them?
I would say go to Leafsheets.
And go to Leafsheets.
Leafsheets.com. We have a lot of answers on there and guides that kind of talk about what it really is like to get into the industry. I would advise, number one, look at what state you're looking at getting into the business in, because that should inform your decision a lot. It's very different in every state. There's no definitely get into the industry. That does not exist. If you're just going for one, you need to see which state you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, just like you would with any other business, how many competitors would you have? Is there a limited number of licenses? What types of licenses? Can you own a vertically integrated company or not? How much does it cost to get in? What do you need? All of that kind of
Right.
stuff. So
Yeah.
assess all of that and what that landscape looks like, and then see if that's something you think, one, you're willing to do, and two, that you could compete in and win.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. Like, don't just get into it because it seems rewarding or fun or interesting. You need to
Yeah.
have a plan to compete.
Yes, exactly. And I'm really glad that we have this chance to talk, because, when you had first reached out to me, I thought, wow, this is fascinating. I love your hair, by the way. And we'll get into the hair because I want to find out what the meaning is behind the color.
Okay.
But when I communicated with you, I mean, you truly are a businesswoman, and I want to applaud you, because as one woman to another, we're both in business. We have different businesses, and you're thriving just, beautifully, the way that you're putting your business together and how it's expanding, and the processes and the success that you've had. And I think, Juliana, for you, I think it's a very lucrative industry, and I could see you going really far. What are some of the states that, and I don't know if you want to call them out, but maybe 1 or 2 states that are like, don't even bother.
Okay. Usually I would say Oklahoma. I'm glad that guy. I'm
So
glad.
maybe it wasn't Oklahoma. That maybe I'm wrong on the state, but I definitely, I'll have to go back and look, but maybe
I'm
not
glad.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. So some people are doing well in Oklahoma, I'm sure. Oklahoma is a state I would say don't do it. And then the 3 are OGs, the 3 original recreational markets. So Washington, Oregon, and Colorado.
Oh.
I would say don't do it. They are overpopulated.
Yeah, I was going to say Oregon. I mean, I would think that they're probably a good one, because, there's a lot of it in Oregon,
Yeah,
the dispensaries, and yeah, but like you said, it's saturated
it's way
with a lot of
saturated.
dispensaries. Yeah. And that's a good point. I mean, that, it's competition, and yeah, most
Yes.
definitely.
And cannabis consumers are pretty price sensitive, and they don't tend to be all that loyal to a store. So it's not as though, like with my grocery stores, I have maybe 2 brands of grocery stores I'll go to. I don't really consider other ones. Whereas
Yeah.
cannabis consumers tend to be willing to consider any store. So having a lot of competitors then is
Yeah.
even
Well, when they
harder.
travel, it's like, okay, well, you can't take it on the airplane. So where do you go to get it? So, and they know where to find them. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that.
It's actually
Yeah. So,
really funny. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's okay. Go ahead.
Cann strategy in Vegas is if you Google dispensaries or something, Cann strategy comes up. So we've actually had multiple people call and say, "Hey, are you open?" And I'll say, "Do you think we're a dispensary?" Like,
oh my
yeah.
God.
It's so funny.
Well, let's talk. Right? You can turn that into an opportunity.
Totally. It's funny. But I'm like, well, they know where to find them. They're Googling it. And somehow we're popping up, which was not intentional.
Yeah, well, good point, because I'm sure you get that, depending, because it starts with CANN, which, is the beginning of cannabis. Yeah. Yeah. So let's kind of go back to, I know we have just a couple of minutes left. The hair color. I mean, you're adorable and I love the hair color.
Thank you.
What kind of excited you about using this color? Because it is beautiful.
Thank you. I've always loved pink. That's number one. But the reason I did it is I met this woman at Target who was probably 80 years old and she had pink hair.
Oh, how cute.
I love your hair. And she said, "Thank you. I always wanted to do it, but I had to wait till my kids left home and I retired." And I thought, oh, I'm going to do that. And then I thought, I'm big on not taking for granted any day. Like, who knows how long we have? We really don't know. And I thought, well, no, I'll just do it now. How do I know I'm going to make it to 80? I don't know.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because, and sometimes it takes, someone else's story to put ours into action, right?
Yeah, and perspective.
Yeah. That is such a cool story. And I love little ladies with pink hair. I mean, how cute are they? Right?
Purple and oh my gosh.
And purple. I love it when they put makeup on, don't you? They're so adorable. And it's like
lashes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always think I hope I have that in me when I'm old.
I know. Well, they have style too, because from head to toe, they've got the hair, the makeup, and the little, cute little outfit too. Because they come from tradition and they're, they're baby boomers. So yeah. Well, this has been fun, Juliana, and thank you so much for being on Luminary Leaders Live. And if you really wanted to give one last kind of tidbit or golden nugget to our audience, what do you recommend, or what do you want to share?
What do I want to share? Follow your dreams. And that really would be one, though, is to just go, like I said, we can't take for granted any single day that we have. So if there's something that you've always wanted to do and you've been putting off and you keep saying, I'll do it later, my tidbit would be do it. And if cannabis business happens to be one of those things, then I'm here for it. Yeah. That's that.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And, I hope, I can see you becoming so successful even more, where you're taking the professional approach. You've got everything dialed in terms of the way you run your business, and with your, I know you have a co-founder with you in Leafsheets, but really the sky is the limit. And like you said, follow your dreams. And, if anybody's doing it, I can see that you're doing it. And we really appreciate you being on the show, Juliana, and wish you much success. And we want to thank our audience. We were streaming live today on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then this episode will be up on Spotify, Google Podcasts, really anywhere where you listen to your podcast. So when you're doing your exercising or you're researching or whatever, listen to the show, because today our guest, Juliana Whitney, had so much great information to share. And if you're thinking about a cannabis business, like I mentioned, you'll want to reach out to Juliana. And what's the best way people can reach you, Juliana?
The best way to reach me is through cannstrategy.com, leafsheets.com, or on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I'm a big fan. It's just my name, Juliana Whitney.
Yeah.
On there.
Yeah, and that's how we met on LinkedIn. Yay, LinkedIn. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, Juliana, thank you again. And to our audience, we appreciate you being here with us today, and we hope you have a fantastic week, and we will catch you next time.